Oh,
Yeah, about as much as good as it got.
okay, okay, let's stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. We are going to start out our meeting this evening with Travis Ewan from Stantec Consulting, and he's going to give us a run-through of our ADA playground plans. I'll turn it over to you, Travis.
All right, great. Hopefully you all can hear me at home and see our screen. We're going to be sharing with you a brief presentation on the status of the playground. My name is Travis Ewan. I'm a landscape architect. I am the lead designer for this project, representing Stantec. We also have a great committee. It's made up of residents, teachers, elected officials, and so we've met since, I would say, around July. Relatively on a bi-weekly basis. We had a great public meeting in August that I can go into in a little bit more detail, but we are in a point in the project where we're at about 60% design drawing. So we've done concept design, which we've presented to the public, and now we're advancing the technical drawing. So we're at the 60% point. We have another submission at 75, 95, and then 100% bid documents. Some of the design considerations real quick that we thought about when we were looking at this project originally was the views to the north up the lake from Clute Park, parking, being able to get to the facility relatively easily. There's a lot of beautiful existing trees on site, so we wanted to make sure the footprint of the playground wouldn't affect those at all. And we were looking for a relatively level site, and Clute Park is almost dead flat, so there's, depending where you are, you get a nice broad view of the whole park. Some of the constraints that we were working with is that there's a relatively high water table. You know, the proximity to 414, we have to be cognizant of safety and all of those great things. So then just to touch on some of the past public outreach we had back in August, we met with over 80 kids during summer camp. We went to the school. We also went to the park itself where the summer camp activities were happening. We presented a whole host of ideas, trying to get people's feedback, what interested them. We talked about the natural wonders of the area, what should be the inspiration of the project, and we talked about site history and context, so sailing and things related to boating, and we touched on the Seneca Lake monster myth and mythology on that. So we had a lot of fun with the kids. In the next slide you can see some of that outreach. We had them vote on a range of ideas, where to locate the playground, what kind of equipment they wanted, and what kind of thematic ideas were going to come out of it. So and then if you're following along, we have a great sketch that one of the kids sent in, which shows kind of a pirate ship with some climbing elements on it, as well as a zip line. So we were able to incorporate all of that into the design. So, so on the overall playground location, if we're pretty much on the western side of the park, there's the new event center that was built recently and the ice rink, and we're just a short walk away from that, and pretty centrally located in the park. There's also some great views. It's in close proximity to some of the existing play equipment that's out there, so a lot of that is going to stay in place. And there's some great swings and things like that, so all of that stuff is pretty much going to be in place. And in this photo, you can see one of the salt brine wellheads, and that has since been taken down, and that is more or less the location of the new playground. So. And then just some more views out to the site. On the site plan, we've packed a lot of play value into this. So as part of the ADA accessible design, we have this kind of serpentine path that's playing off the idea of the Seneca Lake monster. So these paths kind of weave in and out. At the start of the playground to the left, we have this amazing climbing structure that's been incorporated. One of the central elements is an inclusive play element, which is a carousel that people with mobility impairments can roll right onto and spin around like crazy. We also have incorporated that ship idea, so there's a big, large pirate ship that's going to be located, that's going to have great views out to the lake, and it's going to have the zip line, things like that. Then we also have in the 2 to 5 area, we have a smaller ship element that the smaller kids can climb on, and I'll go into some detail on that. And of course, we have swings. We have one of these fun bucket swings that a bunch of different kids can fit on. It's also accessible. And then we have a bay of normal swings and then a bay of ADA accessible swings. For the surfacing, it's going to be a combination of engineered wood fiber, which is sort of like that mulch-looking material. It's safe for fall heights that we have on this playground. We have all the fall zones mapped out, so it can handle those fall heights. We also have some what's called port-in-place surfacing. It's sort of that rubberized surface that you might have seen, and that's that blue element there, and that's going to be around the carousel. And then we have this central concrete path, and other paths are going to connect to the overall path system in the park. So the next view is just sort of a bird's eye view of looking at the play elements in context. So to the left, you have the really fun climber. You can see the central carousel element. You can see the ship in the back with the zip line, and some of the fun play elements for the smaller children to the south of the project, and then, of course, the swings. Some more views. I won't spend too much time on that because I think they're self-explanatory. A lot of different stuff to do for kids out there. And again, looking at the swings, you can see some of the ADA elements within the swings. And then just some more context with 414 way in the background. Just giving you an idea of what it's going to look like. And we're going to add approximately 7 new trees. We're going to go with native trees that can be grown on site here. And we're adding some of these fun boulder elements that kids can climb and jump off of and have a really good time. So just going into some of the details on the play equipment for the 2 to 5-year-old area. Again, we have this smaller pirate ship, which has a lot of different play elements, such as climbing, binoculars to look out from, little net structures that kids can climb up on, and there's a small little hammock that kids can hang out in. So that is going to be in the south here that I've highlighted in red. So there's a bunch of different play elements there, spinners, the boat, drums, seesaw. And I won't go into too much detail here, but really we're hoping that we're going to stimulate the social, emotional elements, really capture kids' imaginations here, get them thinking, using their cognitive abilities, their physical abilities, all those great things. These are the small spinner elements. They take up a small footprint, but they have a lot of play value. And then interpreting the Seneca Lake monster, we have the octopus seesaw. So things kids can really like jump on and rotate and try to knock each other off of, which will be fun. And some of the musical play elements for the real little kids, they can go right up to it, bang on the drums, the xylophone. There's a megaphone too that they can shout through. So again, just some things to really stimulate the creativity and their cognitive abilities. And then for the older kids, this is going to be kind of located in the northern section of the playground. Is the large ship structure, and this has a ton of different play elements from net climbing. There's outlooks. There's the zip line, like I mentioned, slides, etc. And that's highlighted here. Just some additional photographs of it. This also has a little hammock. That was one of the things that came out of the public meeting, where we had a similar element where kids were hanging out on and having a really good time. So that captured people's interest. And then for the climbing structure, this is a really, really fun element. It's one of those things that kids get excited about because it's a little risky. They can climb up to the top of it, look out on the lake. So located here on the left side of the plan. It has these little physical membranes that they can stand on. It's a little off balance, so that's fun. They can climb up these knobs for more exciting play while their friends push them around. So a bunch of different stuff to do on that. And then for the inclusive play elements, we have, obviously, the big one is the carousel that's centrally located, where people with mobility needs can spin on with their friends, with their parents. So also the climbing structure has elements where kids with mobility impairments can climb through it. Same with the swings, as I mentioned before. There's just some more detailed look at it. And so just back to the schedule, again, we're over halfway there. The next couple of weeks will go fast as far as our documentation goes. And then we're looking at bidding around in May, and then a bid award in the summer. And hopefully construction will be wrapped up in 2024 or early 2025. Any questions?
How often you figure you might have to switch or replenish the wood chips?
It's a good question. I think you get, like 8 to 5 years of just some general replacement. It's really under the swings that there'll probably need to be more replacement happening as the kids go back and forth on the swings. So that'll require yearly maintenance in the swing area, but for the most part.
And they're readily available product?
Yeah, it's readily available. Yep.
And what about that other fiber that you have there?
The rubber port-in-place surfacing.
Yeah, is that like a hard surface, or is that like the little rubber things you see in the?
It's a cast system, so it's not loose. It's continuous.
Like a mat?
It's like a mat, so it's similar to like a running track. And that has a pretty long shelf life. It's similar to asphalt in its shelf life, so 8 to 10 years on that one, depending on the usage.
And it takes a lot of water?
It can filter water right through it, so it's
Right through it.
porous. Yep.
Okay.
This one.
Yes.
Other questions? Yeah, Nan and I have been in the meetings every other week, it feels like. It's
Mhm.
going fast, so I appreciate Nan's taking the lead on this, and Travis, really appreciate your time tonight.
Thanks for having me.
If there's no other questions, do you need to disconnect, Tim?
We had the input of an educational physical therapist who works with all ages
Yeah.
of kids, as well as somebody from the ARC, in terms of getting some good disability perspectives, so. It was a nice balanced committee, good to work with.
Very nice.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the next phases.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Travis.
Thanks,
and
Travis.
No worries.
We'll speak to you soon.
Sounds great.
Safe travels to you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Okay, there's no public here, so I'm going to move on. Not to discount you, Officer Jumper. Appreciate you being here, too. Okay, I'll accept approval of the minutes from February 6, 2024. I need a motion.
To approve the regular board minutes meeting held on February 6, 2024.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, it's carried. All right, so we're going down the department reports. Terry, anything, the water projects moving along? Anything, any additions to your report? I read it late, so. From the parks perspective, we've got the ice rink open all week. I don't know how it's gonna be when it turns 50 in the next couple days, but people have been skating.
It was wonderful. It was
An-
magic. It was
Andy
magical.
Was Andy with you, Travis?
It was magical. There should be, the word needs to get out because it was great. But
Andy sent me a note.
Yeah, the sun was shining, it was nice.
Yeah. All right. Anything from the police, Officer Jumper? Thanks for all you do. Okay, barring no other department managers here, I'll take a motion to approve all department reports, please.
I make a motion that we approve all department reports.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed, it's carried. Okay, important resolution this evening. I need to take a motion to oppose the Padawa Ridge gravel pit expansion under It's Greener Now Incorporated.
I make a motion to approve a resolution opposing Battle Ridge gravel pit expansion under its greener now. Rick, I think I said it all.
I'll second it.
We get any good feedback on that, those meetings?
Yes, so we had about 50 individuals speak in opposition. It's an estimate. There's been further follow-up. I've talked to Senator O'Mara, I've talked to Senator Gillibrand's office. I've written letters to the state, still continuing. I have not heard anything from the DEC. I did talk to the town of Dix to see if we could get them to mirror our resolution. The county approved theirs. At a minimum, it'd be nice to get, additional time from the DEC because, as you know, we need a lot more, a broader review of this. So at this point, I don't know anything additional as far as the timing from the DEC. I think what you asked me about last night was a misinterpretation. So I'm going to read this, so it's for the record, that whereas it's been reported in the New York State Environmental News Bulletin on January 3rd, 2024, and elsewhere, that Padawa Gravel, the applicant, is proposing a 60-acre expansion to the gravel quarry operations located in the town of Dix, county of Schuyler, state of New York, adjacent to the village of Watkins Glen. Whereas, according to records of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the applicant applies for approval to expand a 15-acre quarry operation by 60-plus acres for a total of 75 acres to be mined by permit for the next 20 years. Whereas the present application is carried over from the initial application from the years 2007 and 2008. And whereas at the time, the DEC suspended decision on the above application. Whereas to reactivate the pending application, the applicant submitted a DEIS to the DEC on May 13th, 2019, which was deemed insufficient by the DEC, requiring a revised DEIS that was submitted on August 9th, 2022. Whereas the Village of Watkins Glen received no prior notice of these action by the DEC, and whereas the Village of Watkins Glen received notice of the January 3rd, 2024 publication of the DEIS in the DEC Environmental News Bulletin on behalf of the applicant that has been declared sufficient by the DEC. Whereas the DEC has declared a comment period with a deadline of February 28, 2024. Whereas this is an insufficient amount of time for the Village of Watkins Glen, the town of Dix, and Schuyler County to respond to the effects the proposed project will have. Whereas the village does not believe the public need and benefit outweighs the environmental impact of the project, which will impact noise, traffic, erosion, dust, aesthetics, quality of living, tourism, and hydrological characteristics of the site. Whereas the Village Board of Trustees for the Village of Watkins Glen objects to the DEC activating an application dormant for 16 years without requiring a new initial review. Whereas the Village Board of Trustees for the Village of Watkins Glen objects to the DEC's failure to notify our county of the proposed action. Whereas the proposed time period is insufficient to review 784 pages of documents that are on file with the DEC to ensure potential adverse impacts are being sufficiently mitigated, and to hire the required experts to review the record. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees for the Village of Watkins Glen notes its opposition to the current application to address these and other legitimate areas of concern prior to any decision on the project, and be it further resolved that the applicant be required to submit a revised application to address these and other legitimate areas of concern prior to any decision on the project, and be it further resolved that the DEC reopen and allow an additional period of public comment on the application to address these and other legitimate areas of concern prior to any decision on the project, and be it further resolved that the DEC conduct a full, fair, and exhaustive environmental review of the project to address any legitimate areas of concern prior to any decision on the project. And be it further resolved that the Village Board of Trustees for the Village of Watkins Glen requests that no approvals be granted for this project pending satisfactory completion of the above, and be it further resolved that the clerk of the Village of Watkins Glen shall transmit a certified copy of this resolution to the following: Governor Kathy Hochul, DEC Commissioner Basil Segels, New York State DEC Region 8, New York State Historic Preservation Office, Environmental Protection Agency Office, Office of the Erie Canal Corporation, Senator Tom O'Mara, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, and such other and further officials as might be deemed appropriate and proper. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. Resolution's carried.
Can I ask one question about that? I mean, it's not really relevant to the item I had up on. Back on that, we're on, one, two, three, four, five, six, the seventh whereas. That has been, when did they declare that sufficient? You know, I mean, you may not know, I don't know, I was just kind of curious.
I didn't see that in there when it
Yeah,
was, but.
yeah, 'cause I didn't see.
But it's definitely in the, one of the many emails that I got, but I didn't see a date. I mean, this references that it was resubmitted on
Yeah.
August 2022, but they've been looking at this for quite some time, and they deemed it satisfactory, which it's beyond me for all the reasons that we just said.
I would like to write and say, when did you declare it sufficient? But, you know, that's just my own thing.
Yeah. Whew, that was a mouthful.
So has that, what they've already done up there with what they've taken away from that side hill, has that diminished the purification of the water?
Yes.
They've already destroyed that?
I don't know the answer to that. I think that, that's part of what this review should.
I
I
can't
wouldn't say,
believe
I
it.
wouldn't say totally destroyed, but, what's the guy that wrote the big article, he mentions, or was that was Mark? Maybe Mark talked about.
It's part of the discussion, but that's part of why we need more time.
Right.
To really
Yeah.
gather the
Yeah.
information, because that's certainly,
What boggles my mind
part of
is
the
I can't believe
discussion.
the DEC in the first place would take a natural resource, Mother Nature, that purifies the water to the point where when people had their water tested, it came back like some of the purest water that they've ever
Mhm.
tested.
Yeah.
And to
they had.
allow somebody to go up there and destroy that,
Well, an unfortunate piece looking back too is that it went into private ownership, and
Right.
And there should have been far more investigation to protect it.
Well, and under,
Well, yeah.
under a
And
current
at the
permit.
planning meeting, Mark Steffen brought up a very good point. He said the section or the department of DEC that is issuing this permit is like under the mining umbrella.
Right.
You know, because there's all these different, you know,
Yeah,
divisions of the DEC, and they're under the mining, so this is something that they, you know, I'm not gonna say that they want to see happen, but this is something that they
yeah,
promote.
yeah.
You know, this is something they look into, and he also.
There's a
made-
lot of need for further investigation, you know, and that's where we're at.
You have to be protective of your village waters.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely,
That's what I don't
absolutely.
understand.
That's what we've got to look at.
How
Yeah.
it's even
Yeah.
gotten that far in the first place.
When there is an overflow, and it has happened,
Yeah,
it goes right out to
Yeah.
where your intake is.
Yeah,
Or it goes into the diversion ditch. We
Yeah.
already know that that has happened.
Yeah, it floods the village and then it goes to the lake.
and that's on the small amount that is currently happening, so.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
it's not. And I mean, the one time it happened, there were officials on site, and nothing was done.
Yeah,
So we've already, or again, there's been shown disregard for what this village thinks. There's been shown disregard for our water supply.
mhm.
Do we allow him, any company to come in and
The increase of,
have
yeah,
total disregard for the laws? And
yeah,
Well, New York State is, and has invested millions of dollars in this community,
mhm.
and including our water systems that we're consistently trying to improve. So as part of what my letter to the governor's office stated, I'm
Yeah.
very concerned about.
yeah,
And the money they spend on the state park.
Park, the DRI,
new wastewater plant, new
Yeah.
water plant.
mhm.
We put a lot of money into the infrastructure here now.
Yeah,
And you have to look at even the route that these trucks take.
mhm.
We
Yep.
have clay tile.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, our infrastructure is clay tile. And you're gonna, the more heavy trucks you have on it, the more
Yeah.
damage you do to them.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
So do you think there's any other agencies out there that would take a liking to take this on? I mean, like, I don't know, I have no idea, but a few that you mentioned, on the political side, well, what about somebody's like the Sierra Nevada Club or, you know, any of those agencies that love to get right in there with their political, you know, with their lawyers?
There's a group meeting right now, and I can't remember the name of them. And part of the people that were there speaking last week are part of, they're having a Zoom meeting tonight to try to get more advocacy, and, you know, it's gonna take
Good.
money.
yeah.
Money.
So, any ideas, pass them on. All right. Everybody good? All right.
Yeah.
So, second resolution, this is calling for an increase in aid and incentives for municipalities. We'll take a motion, please.
I make a motion, we approve the resolution calling for an increase in aid and incentives for municipality, otherwise known as AIM funding.
Second.
Do you want to read it, Nan?
Sure, take that off you. You just read a lot.
I need more water.
Let me get to the right thing here, okay. So this resolution calling for an increase in aid and incentives for municipalities funding. Whereas the Aid and Incentives for Municipalities, AIM program, plays a critical role in the funding essential municipal services for cities and villages across New York State. And whereas city and village officials share the same priorities as our state leaders, which is to make New York safer and more affordable. And whereas New York's local governments, who are on the front lines of controlling property tax affordability and ensuring public safety, are integral to achieving those goals. And whereas the state has not increased AIM funding in 15 years, and according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, inflation has increased by nearly 45% during that same period. And whereas this neglect from the state has led to rising municipal tax burdens and harmful disinvestment in essential municipal services and staff. And whereas the property tax cap further limits the ability of local governments to properly fund the services their residents need. And whereas the challenges of rising inflation, the increasing costs of labor and supplies, and the end of extraordinary federal aid only accentuate the need for an increase in AIM funding. And whereas the governor's 2024-25 executive budget proposes to keep AIM funding flat, and whereas an increase in AIM funding would reduce the local tax burden and help revitalize the communities across New York. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Watkins Glen urges Governor Hochul to work with the leaders of the Senate and Assembly and increase AIM funding in the 2024-25 adopted state budget. Be it further resolved that the clerk of the Village of Watkins Glen shall transmit a certified copy of the resolution to the following: Governor Kathy Hochul, Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins, Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie, the New York State Conference of Mayors, and such other and further officials as might be deemed appropriate and proper.
So, discussion on this.
I think I read about this in that
Yeah.
magazine.
It's been flat for some time, but it also, with this funding, and I'd have to look at our budget to see what our line item is. It would help our public safety, both, police, fire, et cetera. And so the NICOM, the New York State Conference of Mayors, is banding together, and they submitted this sample resolution for us to consider, which I think I emailed it to all of you as well. So that's what this resolution is for. Other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
No opposed. Carried. Okay, no more resolutions to read. How's that? All right, next. Is this out of order? Wait a minute. These, so the ride-along policies first. So the board recalls, some time ago, we talked about the ride-along policy for the police department. I'm sorry, it must be the toner was going, because it's really hard to read it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So our counsel's office, as well as our insurance company, has reviewed this. It's ready to go. I don't know, we can talk, let's get a motion on the floor, and then we can talk about any concerns the board might have.
I'll make a motion to approve the WGPD policy for hiring, we're gonna do the ride-along policy first, right?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the WGPD ride-along policy.
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion. It's pretty restrictive, and I think it's laid out quite well. I didn't really see any,
No, and the police department brought it to the board in December, I think it was, late December, early January. We went over it, and then they were instructed just to get clearance from the attorney as well as the insurance company, which we got both, and actually Travelers gave it huge reviews, because they said it was actually a little more detailed as far as the ride-along policy than even their own standard, so
Right.
they were comfortable with it.
Okay.
As long as they're good. I'm very detailed.
yeah, I think it's very,
Which is good,
very
yeah.
exclusive, and
Mhm.
I'll be signing up. All right,
I think I might too.
further discussion.
I'm good.
All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, carried. Thank you.
Good.
Okay, now we're on to the policy for hiring standards. Fred, do we review this every year? I can't remember.
I don't recall that we ever have.
I don't recall it either.
But this was the other one that Ethan brought, and I wanted to have something on record as far as their procedures for hiring.
Okay, so we'll get a motion and we can talk about that too.
I make a,
motion
go ahead.
to watch WDED policies for hiring standards.
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion.
Is this something we've never had before?
Well, it looks like we have, because it says, this is effective date October 1, but someplace else I saw, in 2021, there was an older date, so I don't know, do we not have one on record from the past? I kind of remember it, but maybe.
Unless they have something in the actual contract, that I would think they, there's like an agreement, but
No.
we don't have anything.
Yeah, I don't think it's in the contract. I mean, it's just, it follows, misconduct by the New York State General Law of Enforcement Misconduct, Investigative Office information is required per paragraphs A, B, C, D.
Yeah, it pretty much mirrors.
Yeah, it's all the,
Ethan's goal was to actually have something, so,
Yeah.
because we didn't have something previously. So he just wanted to make sure that there was some actual on-file practice in case it was ever referenced.
So he's referencing the Professional Policing Act of 2021, is that what you were referring to with the?
yeah, that's what I remember
Yeah,
from
so that
before.
doesn't sound like our
Right.
policy, it's more,
Yeah, this document, the second page though, says it was effective in 2021.
oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then Jumper, did you update it? Do you know?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
I believe that's all to do with the state and their requirements.
Okay.
Maybe it was an internal policy that we didn't quite get to the point
Yeah, maybe.
of,
Yep, I think that's probably some error date on Ethan's part when he was working on changing it, updating it, because he was working on it back then, October, November, and then brought it to us in December.
yeah. Okay.
Ethan's out sick, just so you all know.
But, so it looks like what we're voting on is page 1, right?
Yes. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he has to follow all the New York State regs around this, so
Yeah.
that's what it's referencing, under
Yeah.
executive law.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe it was, I don't know, started or done internally or something. I don't remember it in 2021.
All right, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No opposed, carried. Okay, no additional voting items. I'll take a motion to approve the general audit of February 16th, 2024. And Fred, I think we had an add-on, right?
Yeah, if you look at the poll report on the very last page, that there's an add-on, which makes that total 668.
Oh, okay, so the total,
Yeah, because
total on the front.
The year-end retirement needed to be,
okay. Total on the front's right then.
Okay,
yeah, so the total on the front is correct.
so I make a motion, we approve the general audit dated February 16, 2024, for the total amount of $668,431.47.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, it's carried, thank you. Okay, couple of reminders, managers meeting tomorrow, I can't be there, anybody want to go? 8 o'clock?
Let me see.
What's tomorrow? Wednesday?
Every Wednesday, 8 o'clock.
I might be able to make it.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
You gotta make your man run.
You better get on that, Peter. Okay.
I just made it.
It's at the wastewater.
Banana blueberry bread.
Oh,
Wastewater
you're all
treatment
set then.
It's up to my mother-in-law's.
Blueberries are disgusting.
8 o'clock. All right, if somebody can cover, that'd be great, I appreciate it.
What's that, at the sewer plant?
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna cost you guys.
All right,
Thursday night's meeting, so.
did I notify the board, did we talk about, I believe I did, the April 8th eclipse event at the event center? Yes. The Schuyler County Historical Society is partnering with the village and the chamber.
That's the blackout.
It's the-
Solar eclipse.
It's the eclipse, yep. The eclipse will be approximately 3:30 PM. They're gonna do a murder mystery eclipse. How fun, huh? So 8 AM to 6 PM, there's gonna have lunch. Obviously, they'll be providing glasses so that can watch the eclipse. Lunch by bleachers. And I think I should hand this off to you. So this is more of an FYI for you all. I don't know if this is a copy or not, but I shouldn't have it. Give it to Fred. Yeah, you don't want that in my briefcase, but you're welcome to look at it. It's about 3:30.
So is it an event application? Is that what
Yeah,
you just handed on?
Yeah.
Okay.
so they'll be selling tickets. I think it might be in the paper. I've seen it on Facebook. It's gonna be pretty cool, I think. So they're gonna do a murder mystery and, event will be pretty much all day. So watch for tickets. Tickets weren't expensive, but it's kinda cool. Okay, yes?
Just, are we supposed to have a police meeting tomorrow? Everybody get back to us? Just not. I guess I'll be there in the morning then, I guess.
I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah,
I got it written down.
For negotiations, you mean?
They were gonna get back to us. with
Did we plan anything? I don't think we did.
There,
I think we threw a date out there and then we ended up last week, correct? Okay, thanks.
You're,
So that's out?
Yeah.
you're free.
also did that for all the Trustees.
See you in the
Phew.
morning, Pete.
Oh, got it.
You keep thinking that you're gonna be able to sleep in. Okay, really important, March, board meeting changes.
Oops.
So because of
Minute, March, what?
board meeting
Okay.
date changes, so because election night will be is the 19th, so we're looking at March 5th, which is a normal board meeting, and then moving to the 26th, March 26th.
Okay, so the 19th one will go to the 26th.
Correct.
I was gonna start a new
That
chorus that night, but
Well, Nan,
I'll forego it.
that'll be your last board meeting.
Okay.
Then April. And I can't remember what you and I went through the calendar, now I can't remember what we talked about for April. We can't do the 2nd,
Oh, about how we get back to.
because normally it would be the 9th and the 23rd, so we can either do one in April, which that's a lot.
Oh,
'cause-
I see, because if we're doing it there, you don't want to do it there.
So,
Because we said we had 3 again on that, 3 Tuesdays.
So we can do the 9th and the 23rd, that's fine. Right? Is that what you're looking for?
right,
Easter's in March, isn't it? Not that that matters, because that's in that.
And then it's still give us every other week.
well, either that, from an invoice perspective, so when we think about payables,
March 26th.
should we have one later the first week? Oh, no.
The 16th would be fine, because then your next, then you'd have 1, 2,
16th and
3
30th.
weeks after, but that would be the even split in the middle of all that. Unless you.
Well, no, because then you got,
16th or the 23rd would be fine.
then you get back to back.
Because then you'd have the 30th
So-
of April. and then
We were
you'd
talking
have-
about 1, right? in
Oh, just
April,
one in
or-
April?
or-
Well, yeah, I
Because then
think,
you have another one right to 7.
I think it would be hard for payables, that's my concern.
Does it make more sense back in March to do a different day?
Well, we
than
gotta get
Election
closer to
Day?
the end of the month for the payables, so that's why we talked about, well, why don't we,
The 9th and the 23rd would be
We
perfect.
would pay up everything for the March,
9th and the 23rd of April? Peter might be running the meeting.
What's that? No, I thought, if you wanted to even make it one, if one, you could either just do one and then get back on track in May. That's up to you.
Well, so let's plan on the 5th and the 26th for March.
Yeah.
And then you and I will talk about April after, because I think we need to talk to, we need to talk to Barb. Because the other piece of this is, we've got budget deadlines. They're gonna be coming up, because I wanna start budget talks soon. Okay, so we're clear on March, the 5th and the 26th, and then we'll talk about April. Okay. And so that would be Nan's last meeting, and then I would swear in the new trustees that night. We'll do it all together.
On the 2nd.
On the 26th.
Oh, on the
So-
26th.
The official changeover would be on the
25th, isn't it?
Oh, I'm trying to remember the rule. It's one of two. It's either the very first Monday in April or it's the very first Monday after the elections.
I think it was after the
And
election.
it's at
think it
noon,
was too.
any powers transition. So it's an automatic thing rather we actually get to a ceremonial doing a
Okay,
swear-in or not.
so you and I can talk about this. But definitely the 26th, we're having a meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
So that means you don't need me on the 26th.
No, we do.
and we always need you.
You can't leave me.
Yeah, that would be your last meeting.
Okay.
I mean, you can always come.
Well, the first Monday after Election Day is the 25th.
I know, but we don't have a meeting that night.
We're gonna squeeze every hour out of you.
That's right, Nan. You're not getting out of this that easy. Okay, other board concerns?
All right, I got just a couple.
Okay.
So in that meeting with the paddle thing, they talked about that, the diversion ditch. Is that our responsibility to clean that ditch out?
That's never been determined whether it's our responsibility or not. We've never gotten answers on that. And that's number one. Number two, we don't have the equipment even capable of doing it.
Yeah, usually it's the,
Army Corps of Engineers.
yeah.
So we don't have any kind of equipment large enough to be able to go and do that kind of a job.
Why did Mr. Barnes reference us, even though he did say it wasn't anything to do with the current?
We don't have control over what Mr. Burns says. I'm just telling you that we don't have
Yeah, I don't,
equipment to be able to do it.
it's just like the other, good examples, the one just south of me, that you had the county,
The soil and water.
soil and water come in.
And same with the.
We can't
down
do
on-
it.
Or Glen Creek or whatever you want to call it.
Glen
I
Creek
mean,
was the other one.
We don't have the equipment to be able to cover that sewer pipe, or the carrier pipe. That had to be done by soil and water. We work in conjunction with whomever we can for jobs that are that size.
So is it our responsibility to schedule something like that, or, I mean,
Well, like with Glen Creek, for example, there was a lot of debris up against that pipe that people were concerned
Out
about.
by the water bridge, yeah.
Yeah,
it'll be,
and so usually if we see it, or know about it, I tell Terry gets in touch with whoever it might be. If there's another issue, like, this morning, I saw a sign was down on 4th Street, that's the DOT, so he'll just contact whoever the representative is in that other, I guess you call it a creek, that is south of me, that flooded the neighbors below, so they did a ton of work in there.
But it's not as simple as just scheduling it. Give me the money,
Yeah,
okay? If you don't have the money, then.
so we have to pay for somebody to do that?
If I have to get equipment in and.
So it is our
yeah,
responsibility, if we're paying for it, it's our responsibility.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is at first you have to determine it is our responsibility, and then you're gonna have to come up with some money just.
All right, I just want, I don't know what the heck's going on here. All right, is
All
anybody,
the more reason why that gravel pit is a concern.
well, right,
Because
Because
they
it
have,
falls on our
they have
shoulders.
overflowed into that
Yeah.
diversion ditch. I mean, they've
else had any complaints about the roasting of coffee on Decatur Street?
Oh, come on.
Seriously.
No, I love the smell of coffee.
Well, the neighbors, some of the neighbors apparently don't, they've gone to the code enforcement officer, and he's
There's
never.
nothing in our zoning that talks about smells.
Well, supposedly the code enforcement gave these guys that they were supposed to be putting a new ventilation system or filter system that was supposed to eliminate some of the smell, and he's never gotten back to him. Passing along.
I actually was out walking last Tuesday.
Tuesdays and Sundays they roast.
Yeah, and I did smell it. It doesn't smell like when I brew my coffee, that's for sure, but I'm not roasting it either, I'm brewing it.
No, it's processing.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to have Polio Dairy here?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Well, there you go.
I don't remember the smell of it.
That was a
Oh, you
gag,
don't?
that was a gag
When
smell.
that was horrible, or when the wind blew a certain way from the old sewer plant.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, we used to get that at the marina when I worked at the marina,
Yeah.
we used to get that.
Yeah.
All right, so another.
What other fun things we got?
So,
Peter G.
I had a person suggest that if it wouldn't be a good idea for kids when they're roller skating, that they shouldn't be required to wear helmets. The young kids, we got 8 to 10-year-olds age group,
You mean at the
roller
roller
skating,
rink?
yes.
If I was a parent, I certainly would. I don't think there's a requirement though, do you know, Fred?
No, it's not a requirement, but I mean.
I think it's a
it'd be
great
encouraged
idea.
for them to bring helmets and.
Is that something that we should maybe make mandatory or something, or
Yeah, but the only thing
to
is.
cover our own
It-
butts?
What
They don't
do
wear-
you do about parents who
We have,
might not necessarily want the kids to wear helmets?
Well, they don't wear them on the ice, they probably should too.
Well, yeah, both.
I mean, we're
And
not,
that isn't it?
Young,
To me,
the
it's
young
a
kids,
moral
maybe the
thing.
older kids not so much, but
we're not, I mean, as far as liability goes, parents sign a waiver, they understand that
That
their
is a
kids
good
are gonna go around.
And how far do you go? I mean, go back to the old days where we went out and skated on the river and we didn't have helmets on and protective gear.
Well,
we did the
Terry.
same thing down the creek. We used
Yeah,
stones for hockey pucks, guys would be head to head, but that's not a village facility.
Well,
So they're signing liability waivers
Right.
for
Taking
their
That doesn't
children.
mean anything.
No, it doesn't, but what you're saying is really enacting something mandatory, which is
Well, that's.
voting on, I mean, it's not law, but it's,
Well, that's what I'm asking, is this something we should be looking into or not?
well, I think it's
We could
going
talk-
as,
well, we could talk to the insurance, find out what they have to say and what's required. I mean,
we have a meeting with the insurance
We
company.
would wanna look at
We'll
our
bring it up.
accident history, which really, we have never really had any.
major.
It's just like
Yeah.
Just had kids fall
children,
down.
I don't know what the age is, they're supposed to wear helmets riding a bike and
Riding
they
a
don't.
bicycle, that's a law.
Right, but they don't. I see lots
They're
of
out
them
the
do it.
street.
I should be right now.
It seems like it's parental, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think I'd be more concerned about being on the ice.
Yeah.
And, well, because there's been some kids that actually fall and hit their heads pretty hard and whatever, so. And so the other thing was skates that can be tightened so they don't roll so fast. You ever heard of such a thing? I guess I have. For the younger kids, so like, they get on them and they're going, there's,
Isn't that like a Cadillac?
and you can
converter or
tighten it,
whatever?
you can turn the rollers,
I've
tighten the
never
rollers.
roller skated, so I don't.
They do that at the one at my brother's rink at home. They tighten the wheels. If you're like 3 to 5, you have to have your wheels tightened so they don't roll. You just basically walk.
Well, that's-
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good
That
to
makes
know.
sense, cause it's nothing but,
Mhm.
yeah,
Seems
the
like
bolt,
more-
you're just
seems like-
tightening the bolt in.
Yeah, thank you very much. And my last one was down in the BBD, 10th Street, the 2 stop signs. The one going east on 10th Street crossing Perry Street, and the one coming west on 10th Street crossing Perry Street. Nobody stops at those stops.
Nobody stopped. I know. I sat there the other day. and
Upham's
watched
got
it.
a camera on their out front porch, and they constantly.
Well, tell them to take a picture of the license plate and submit it to the police.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do about it sitting here, but they should report it. I mean, and then
That's-
they have been
again, that's-
sitting down there, I know, because I talked to
That's a police.
Officer Hines.
Yeah.
They've been sitting down
10th Street across from where? Across,
10th Street on
Perry
Perry
and
Street.
Perry and
Perry and 10th.
and Porter and 10th.
I
I don't
stopped,
see Porter, but I see
Bob
Perry.
does.
Oh,
I'm not nobody.
Run that too.
We used to call them D Street Shuffle.
So like when I was sitting eating breakfast the other morning, I can look out the window, and I bet you there was like 5 cars, didn't even stop, just
And
zoom
remember-
right through.
Remember your neighbors?
I didn't recognize any of the cars.
Yeah.
That's a police
But-
issue, but.
I never see anybody down there.
Yeah, but there's- yeah.
Certainly can talk to Ethan about it.
This is the same as, my concern, well, that someone came to me about the trucks coming down on Cornell, the big trucks. And I said, take a picture of the license plate, send it to the police, because unless, there's no other way to do it.
Yeah, after the fact, there's nothing we can do.
And then, I mean, you gotta help us out a little bit here.
I mean, even Schuyler County, they're limited to how many officers they have.
Right.
I mean, how many times have I gone home and there's a transport trailer on Mud Lake Road?
Oh, yeah.
I'm behind them, there's not, I mean, I can call Schuyler County, until you catch them.
Yeah. Well, I told this person, I said, take a picture of your license plate and send it to the police.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you doing the jerky sign?
Yes, I yield.
You don't have to, but, the only had one that was about crosswalks.
Are you talking about painting the stripes?
Yeah, I think that, yeah.
Yeah, they usually do that in the spring.
Oh, that's right, we talked about it
Yeah,
earlier.
they did a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing that I had that we gotta bring back to the board, if you could look at this school resource officer agreement, that,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
he didn't put that back on the packet, but we need to look at this agreement. I know you looked at it because you commented, but, one question I had just to think about is, are there any civil service laws about, that we might be violating in doing this? I don't know the answer to that, so I'll leave that for Fred.
so just to go back really quick to what we were talking about for the election, the law is that it's the very first Monday in the month following. So April 1st is the
Oh.
transfer of power.
Okay.
So whatever happens, the election's the results, nothing takes place until noon on Monday, April 1st.
I think I did
Okay, so
remember
then-
that.
So Nan's last meeting will be the 26th.
Yeah. Yep,
Okay.
Yep. But you still gotta hang out until April 1st.
She's not gonna be done
So
anyway.
what
April
do we-
Fools.
So, April 1st is Monday, so what do we do? We do it on a,
No,
It's just naturally, no matter what, whether you do
Whatever.
anything or not.
Oh.
whenever the meeting is that we
Yeah.
just
That's what
swear
I
them
meant.
in, yeah.
Okay.
But
That's the ceremony.
Nan is in her position until noon at April 1st, and then she hands off the torch to
had a girl
whoever the
in
winner
here.
is.
All right. Any other board concerns?
I
Good
don't
job
think so. I think what you raised, I'm,
on
hopefully
this.
we'll get back to that
On
at the
the
next
SRO
meeting.
thing?
Yeah,
So
I
if
think
you-
there's a lot to
Because
consider
we need to
there.
vote on this, so if you can look at this, we gotta bring this back.
Yeah, I sent it back to Ethan, and just, told him there were things that needed to be finalized in there.
Yeah,
Is that the one with the,
I mean, that agreement is halfway through already, so it ends in June. It
Apparently, they started it
September.
and didn't tell us.
that's the
so
one
they
with the
slid through our
Sheriff's Service
approval.
and Sheriff's Department?
Yep.
So it's a matter of, there is language in there, and the last that they left off, and Ethan's not here to talk about it, the last that they left off was that the county had responded back to Ethan and said, here's some of the things that we need to have changed in the agreement. So we still haven't talked about what we should have changed, or what we should have, a question that we have, if we want to mirror some of what the county said. So that actually probably needs to be revisited.
So in agreement with who, the school?
Right,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Hmm.
And just another little tidbit. I've been working with Kai, and they have pickleball courts down there. Remember I told you? So, pretty cool. Where the tennis court is, they already converted one, and they're probably gonna convert another one. So a lot of people have been asking about pickleball.
Uh-huh.
So obviously you can't do it now, but I do think we should think about the community center. I
Yeah,
think-
the community center can be easily
Well, that's-
converted,
You could.
and
you
not
could
permanently,
paint
but,
lines on,
yeah.
okay,
But is
and
pickleball
you're
smaller
gonna,
than tennis?
you're gonna cover
Yeah.
them up anyways when you have an event there. Like
Right.
tables are gonna
Right.
there, nobody's gonna.
Yeah, the
and
lines aren't
who's
gonna-
looking at the floor, I mean, unless you're dancing and you've got two left people.
No, they're just concerned about the lines going down and the roller skates constantly going over them, but I don't think it would wear too fast.
I
No,
don't either,
no,
and I
no,
really
the type
don't-
of-
I've had a couple of people,
Yeah.
like I said,
We
I
would just
don't
put
really know
temporary-
what pickleball is, but.
What do you wanna do in the community center?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it's
so
a
that's an
good way
easy
for us
area
to
that you can
use
do it,
When
yeah.
there's not things going on there, it gives people another thing
I
to
thought you were
do.
talking about the tennis courts right next door.
No, they're.
No, no,
they're coming
inside
out.
the community center.
I just
It's
think
actually
it's.
very popular, very popular.
Oh, I
It
know.
is, and I
The
guess.
villages,
it
that's all you
could
hear all
bring
day
in,
long.
You know, it's a good source of revenue for the village.
Yeah,
And I've had a few people approach me on it, and, you know, I don't know how many, you know.
We would just need
it
to
seems
have
like it could be four, maybe.
three or
three
four
or four
portable
courts.
nets is
Yeah.
basically what you'd have, and
Yeah.
then you just have to mark out, because it's half of a tennis court.
And then, you know, you have your little area from the net,
And
the
the
way I
balls aren't,
understand it.
aren't like,
They're like hard wiffle balls.
yeah, it's like a
Harder
wiffle ball, it's
than
not
wiffle
like a,
balls.
one of those.
What's a wiffle ball?
You don't know what a wiffle ball
Holes in it.
Oh,
Plastic.
It whistles when you throw
I
it.
call it a plastic ball with holes in it. okay?
Hey, I think if we can expand community engagement, we
No,
should do
I
it.
think it'd be very good to do that, yeah.
All right, motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
I'll say yes.
Aye. No opposed, that's carried. We are done.